Someone was asking me, how do you know if you got good friends? And surprisingly, it got a lot of likes. What is wrong with you people? Who are your friends? Do you have any? Is this a future question? You suck. That's the end of the video. Let me expand on that a little bit for you, shall we? So, it's an odd question, but there's some merit to it. Good for you, Dale. The only advice that I can give you on how do you know if you've got good friends actually came from Oprah Winfrey, which is if someone's telling you who they are, let them. Actually, I'll give you two pieces of advice on this. The first one that we'll just quickly cover, which I was just discussing then, and probably should have just gone with it instead of thinking about this while the camera's running, is that if somebody says, I'm a poorly organised person, let's just use that as an example. If someone says that they're a poorly organised person, they probably are. They've probably observed that in their behaviour, or they keep telling themselves that, and so their subconscious picks up on it and makes them a disorganised person. So the way that you describe yourself is the way that you see yourself. It's very hard to hide the self. And people are very good at picking up when somebody is disingenuous or not, because our entire evolution bases off that one fact, seeing who they can trust and who they can't trust. It's really very obvious who they can and can't trust. So a lot of people that are always trying to make themselves look like they are a better person than they are, unless you're a sociopath and you've got a brain that kind of deciphers how to work that game, you're probably not going to be very good at it. Imagine if this was just an entire audience of sociopaths, 40,000 of them sitting there going, go on, I'm just having some pretty abnormal fantasies about drowning puppies at the moment, but I'm listening. So, that's the first thing. When people tell you something about themselves, they are not lying most of the time. How definite's that? The other thing that is really integral is the actions of people, which is that if somebody does something to piss you off, know that they will do it again in the future. You know, I've got somebody who won't be named, Dome King. You can find out who he is from listening to the Friendly Shorties podcast. One time, we were out on the town, banding it up like good young lads do. Lock up your daughters, none of us were getting laid. But we were getting drunk, because it's really easy to drink a beer. And we were out in Oxford Street, I think it was, and he started throwing up on the side of the road. And I said, oh my God, shit, I gotta call the ambulance because that's what I learned in PD. So I called up the ambulance. The ambulance came, as is usually what happens when you call them up. They usually go, yeah, I'm busy. So they come over, they pick up Dome King, I was about to say his name, put him in the ambulance, take him to the hospital. And they do nothing. He's just lying on the ground for hours. I think it was 2 a.m. in the morning. Some crackhead was running his mouth next to me going, oh, I'll tell you what, my coach, he had some good self-help advice. He says there's no such thing as try, there's either do or don't, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, well, how's that working out for you, mate? So he was just lying on the ground and the doctors weren't doing anything. So I walk up to the doctor and I say, can you please treat my friend? He's unconscious on the ground. The doctor then turns around and says, no, he's not. He's playing possum. I was there for 3 hours. So we're not friends anymore. But what I'm saying is that should have been the first indicator of the fact that this is a sus dude or that he's got serious character flaws. Because I asked him afterwards, why did you do that? And he said, because I've been watching a lot of House and I wanted to see if I could pull off being sick and trick a doctor. It was a Friday night. I think their time was a little more precious than, oh yeah, you got me. Champagne all around. So, we left. Obviously, I kept being friends with him. He started doing worse and worse things. Things that I'm not even going to get into because after a while it just becomes character assassination and what's the point? I'm a good person, clearly. Self-help channel, don't kill yourself. I think I've got that video coming out and man, that is going to get some dislikes. But In the meantime, I said don't. In the meantime, for you, when you're thinking about the people around you, understand that there is an age-old self-help principle, which is that you attract who you are, not what you want. My eye's itchy. And so obviously I try just magically a bunch of woolen jumpers appear and float around me. Oh no, they're in my eyes. They keep running their sleeves against them. I'm allergic. You attract what you are, not what you want, which means character is king. So, if you have bad friends, you look at yourself in the mirror. It's obvious that every now and then there's going to be people that come in and out of your life, and I truly believe that. You could look at this self-help, I'm really up there with those fat 50-year-old women that wear nothing but purple muumuus and Tree of Life. I believe a lot of their stuff, but I do think that people fly in and out of your life for a reason. But I also think that if you are hanging around a bunch of bad people, it is because you're a bad person. I have another friend from high school. Such a weird man. Can't even get into the nitty-gritty of that guy because I'm scared that he'll watch this and, to be honest, when you look at that guy's eyes, you think, yeah, that guy's capable of murder. Don't want to be the guy that pushes him over the edge. And he is always hanging around lowlights. I remember when I was once at a party and this very attractive Asian chick walked through the door, for me anyway, and obviously you'd know that because she's an Asian and I have yellow fever, she was probably a 5 out of 10, but I went, whoa, total 9. So anyway, she walks through the door, sees that this guy is talking to me. The first thing that she says is, do you have any drugs? Not, hi, how are you? Happy birthday. Where are the drugs at? That is the type of person that he hangs around, and that is his entire ecosystem. And as such, he's always a bad person, but he is getting worse because, again, you are the average of the 5 people that you hang around with most. You should get a sense of the type of people that you are hanging around. You know what type of person they are instinctively. But the thing is, are you allowing yourself to see them? Because a lot of people just put on blind spots because it's easier to do that. You don't have to think about it and they're just in your life, and usually it's habitual that you start seeing each other, so just best not rock the boat. But really, you know deep down if they're a good person or not based off their actions. When somebody does an action, I got news for you. Most of the time it's not a one-off, unless they're really apologetic about it and you see them trying to correct the behavior. But that's the thing, it is a very conscious effort. Most of the time, people are just running on autopilot. 95% of what you do is habitual. It is just what you did the day before. You are one of those mice on a hamster wheel. That's your life, except instead of living 2 years, it's 100 years of... So, habitually, if they are doing bad actions, they will continue to do bad actions for the rest of their life, unless they pick up their game. But that is something that they personally have to want to change. It's much easier to just give them the flick. That is how you tell if the people that you're hanging around are good enough. Are good or not. A, by what they tell you. B, by their actions. You should not be excusing people's actions because at the end of the day, you only have so much attention. There is only 12 things that you can possibly be focusing on. Well, it kind of varies, but around 12 things in your mind that you're focusing on all the time. You do not need one of them being the drama of somebody else in your life and being scared about them answering the phone. I'm always using that metaphor. I don't know why that's the one that always pops up into my head, but again, it's because we're habitual. We're a mouse, man. We're in a maze. So, write down the 5 people. I forgot the activity, just went blank and scared. That is all. I want you, for your homework, to write down the 5 people that you hang out with most. And I want you to write down what you think they are as a person. What kind of character traits do they have? Because I did this activity the other day. In fact, I did it with my birthday. They gave me a surprise birthday party. It was the first surprise birthday party I've ever gotten in my life. And it's because the people that I hang out with now are a lot better than the people that I hung out with 10 years ago. Why? Because I became a better person as a result of self-help. And as a result, the people that come up to me after shows, it's because my work, the work that I have on Friendly Geordies, is clearly very socially conscious. I care about the direction of society. And so the people that talk to me and the people that are interested in my content, they're usually up for a laugh and they have a social conscience. They're usually very good people. They're easy to talk to. They're clearly concerned about other things. They have that union look in their eye. You're right, mate. Good for you, champ. Keep fighting the good fight. Those are the people that are attracting into my life now. And so the ecosystem around Friendly Geordies are all people that are like that. They're all people that are up for a laugh, have a social conscience, and they're willing to put in the extra effort because that's me. That's the person that I became. As opposed to what I was when I was 18, video games and wanking. Yeah, give me the doob. I'm not paying, I'm not putting in shit for it. Change as a result of reading self-help. So the thing is, if you're on the path of wanting to achieve something great in life, you can't be hunkered down by pieces of shit. You need to out with the trash bucket with you, yar! That's a captain of a ship. My impression. Jordan's channel of weird impressions interspliced with no context whatsoever. Subscribe today. Yeah, so I... paying myself out. I get enough of that from you. Yes, so I want you to do that. I want you to take stock because really the people that you're hanging around are a reflection of you. And I want you to see what those people are like. I want you to write down a brutally honest character assessment of the people, the 5 people that you hang around with most. And sadly, these can be digital people. If you hang around me a lot, give me a character assessment. Oh no. I'm not looking forward to reading the comments on this one. I don't think I will. Alright, so make sure that you press the like button, give me questions, and see, this is getting so habitual now. I really hate saying the same thing over and over again. It just bums me out, but I have to do it, otherwise I've got no channel. Help a brother out.